All right, probably the most underrated topic that I don't see people talking about is warming up. I'm going to go over how I like to warm up. I have a system that I use to recruit motor units specifically for my low rep hypertrophy set system. So the reason a system's important is because it gives you something to refine and perfect. And everything you do and all the methods inside the system that you use have to be backed by some type of logic or principle that makes it true and leads you to success. So I'm very big on systems because you want to be able to repeat this over and over and have continued success. So the first thing we need to do is go over the mindset of a warm-up. And the first thing I'll tell you is, some people have heard me talk about this before, I don't like the word warm-ups. I don't like it because it implies that it's kind of a relaxed and informal, just get loose. It's not that. So I like to refer to them as prep sets. I'm going to prepare myself for what I'm going to do in the workout. And that's what any workout does. So you've probably heard me talk about jogging and sprinting, and I've related lifting weights a lot to running. There's a lot of crossover and a lot of similarities. So the first thing is you want to jog, then sprint. I think that's a pretty common sense idea where if I'm going to go to the track to sprint, I'm not going to start sprinting. I'm going to start doing some jogging and some slower things before I go to full speed. So jogging, that refers to your low outputs. Sprinting, that refers to your high outputs. And you want to build from low to high. Like I said, if you were going to the track, this is a very common sense idea. So I'm going to take this idea and insert it into the weight room, specifically for hypertrophy training. So the first thing I'll need to do is categorize exercises, because a lot of people, they think I'm talking about single joint exercises, or they think I'm talking about all exercises. And what I do is I categorize. I have categorized single joint exercises as low output sets. I don't believe it's beneficial to try to do heavy low rep weight with a bicep curl, a lateral raise, because you're never going to outforce a compound lift. There's more motor unit recruitment, there's more muscles involved, so I categorize it. I think there's a time and place for both, and the warm-up is one of them. Compound exercises, you can do either. You can do them slow or fast, low output or high output. And so I'm going to show you how I use this categorization to create my warm-up system and how I start literally every session. I've done this probably since 2013. I've refined it, but this has been a long time thing. I've used it for a very long time. So here's the structure. If I was just to lay out the structure, from first set to your first working set. The very first step, every day I personally go to the gym, is you're going to see low output single joint exercises. That's bicep curls, lateral raises, front raises, leg extension, leg curls, all of them. There's nothing, you can insert any isolated single joint exercises you prefer. You can use them here. Step 2, you're going to low output compound exercises. So that's the bench press, squat, deadlift, all of them. But if like I said, if you're going to the track to sprint, you're not going to start sprinting. We're going to start slow and then build up to fast. So you start with compound low outputs. Number 3, you move to your high output compound exercises. And then number 4, you start your working sets. All right, so we're going to go over each step. Step 1, single joint, low output. Here's what it looks like. You're doing 1 to 3 total exercises that isolate the muscles you're going to use in that session. So I have programs where I have upper lower splits. I have a unique split where it's just one muscle the whole time. It doesn't matter. Whatever you choose to warm up, it's going to choose 1 to 3 exercises that touch the weights you're going to use on the big lift. So if it's me and I'm going to squat, I'm using leg extension, leg curls at least. Any other, you can add abduction, whatever you want to do. I'm just telling you what I do. If I was doing bench press, I'm doing chest flies, I'm doing tricep extensions, right? That's the mindset. Bicep curls and back if I'm doing back. And the other thing is you can tailor the warm-ups to weak points. If you've got weak points around the rear delts, if you've got weak points on the biceps, you can choose exercises that best help bring up your weak points. If you need extra isolated work on these muscles, this is a chance to tailor towards you, all right? The reps per set are 12 to 20. I see single joint exercises as I'm flexing the muscle with weight. So my mindset is stretch, contract, mind muscle, all that. That's what I'm thinking because I'm warming up, right? That's what I'm doing. So I've joked in the past that I think bodybuilding or single joint exercises are simply a warm-up. So one of the goals, and I'll get to that in a second, one of the goals is to get a pump, but to say that I'm going to revolve my entire philosophy on building muscle around this to me is just a piece of the puzzle, and I'm only advocating for adding these low rep sets if you haven't felt like you've reached the amount of muscle you want, or you hit a stopping point, or you're just not satisfied. This is what I'm suggesting adding, the low rep hypertrophy sets. This isn't for everybody. I'm not saying everybody should do it. I'm just explaining to you how I do it and why I do it. So the intensity, people often ask me about intensity because you are playing a game. You're playing a game with motor recruitment and fatigue, and I don't want to have too much fatigue where these prep sets or warm-up sets are going to affect my primary work for the day because I'm building up to that. Think about a movie. It's going to start nice and slow. There's going to be a climax, and then there's going to be, coming back down the rest of the movie to the ending. That's how I see the workout. That's what I'm trying to set myself up for. So I personally use a reps in reserve of 3 to 5. So reps in the reserve, if you don't know what it is, if I'm going to do RIR 5, I'm going to use a weight that I could maximally do for 15 reps, and I'm only going to do 10, leaving 5 reps in the tank. That's what I'm doing. I'm really focused on these 3 things: a mind-muscle connection. I'm trying to get a pump in the area or the muscles that I'm going to be using. And then the other key mindset is activate, not annihilate. I'm not trying to do something in my prep sets or my warm-ups that negatively affect my main work for the day. So that's step 1, low output. From there, you're going to move on to your compound exercise. And that could be whatever it is for that day. Let's just stick with bench press, right? So I did chest flies, I did tricep extensions. I'm moving on to bench press. This is the primary exercise of the day. I've got other videos on this. The primary, secondary, all these, everybody has this different language. For me, primary is the exercise I'm going to spend the most time and effort on for that day. And a lot of times, if I'm doing upper body for chest, it's going to be some bench variation. All right, you want to build up both load and effort. So I'm going to start light with low output sets of 8 to 12 reps per set, and then I'm just going to build on it. So your first set on bench press is not high output because you're not ready. And so a lot of times people have really good days on strength, especially where you'll hit you feel like the weights are really light, or you feel like very strong. Sometimes it's as simple as you did a better job of recruiting your motor units, or you didn't. Maybe you rushed your warm up and you didn't recruit as much, and it just doesn't feel as good. If you're not warm, if you're not prepped, sometimes the weight feel heavier. So a lot of times the mindset I take is on days where the weight feels heavier, I might need more time going through this warm-up process. And the more muscle you have, I think the longer it takes to warm up or prep yourself for the day. So consider that in your own workouts. Step 3, you're moving into high outputs with that same compound movement. So there's a lot of options here. There's no one way to do this. So step 3, again, is work in high outputs with the compound. Let's stick to bench press. I do a set of 12 reps at 135 on bench press, nice and controlled. The next set, I'm going to add some speed. I'm going to try to do it faster. That is me adding higher outputs. Sometimes I will do the weight 2 to 3 times. It depends how strong you are. This really is individualized per person, but here's the concept. If I get to the point where I am moving the bar as fast as I can, and I know I can't move it faster, up and down, by the way, then that tells me this load, I can't use this load anymore to activate any more fibers. I need to simply add load and do it again. So rinse and repeat. After a low output set of 8 to 12 reps, you can use the same weight but add output, right? Think about that, let that digest for a second. And then you're gonna, like I said, add weight, rinse and repeat until you reach your first working set. So maybe with 135, I'm doing 12. Maybe I bump up to 185, I'm doing 8. 225, I'm doing 6. 245, I'm doing 3. All the way to my starting weight. If I'm doing singles, doubles, or triples, I'm gonna just build up to it. And I might do each one of them twice. I might stop doing low output at some point because I feel good. And at 225, all my sets are high output. So there's no one way to do it other than do what you need to do to prep yourself and get yourself activated and prepped for your working sets. All right, so take that into your personal workouts. Step 4, of course, high output working sets. If you're training on one of my low rep hypertrophy set programs, or if you're working with me, a lot of times, all of these working sets are gonna be high output. And just to reiterate, high output means you're trying to push it as fast as you can. And I like to promote up and down because organically, people talk about eccentrics. I've got a time under tension series coming out soon, but organically, the heavier the weight is, the slower it's gonna be on the way down. So we don't need to play with these artificial tempos. We're just gonna let the weights dictate the speed. In my mind, I'm moving everything as fast as I can. And if it's too fast, I'm gonna add weight. So that is the key concept to these low rep hypertrophy sets, is that high output, everything is depending on mechanical tension and motor recruitment, and that is a major part of the puzzle. So in my warm-ups, I need to prepare myself or train in a way that builds up to that moment where I can sustain 8 to 12, 15 sets of low rep hypertrophy sets. If you enjoyed this, please send it to somebody you know that needs help with their warm-ups. I've seen a lot of people get stronger literally by improving the way they warm up. So if you enjoyed it, give me a like and follow, and I'll see you on the next video.